Yo, today we're talking about an 800,000 copyright infringement mistake that a rapper made by sampling music unauthorized from Sony. We're talking about that. We're talking about uncleared sample packs that people are selling to artists, so you got to watch out for that. Also, we're talking about new developments in the Diddy case with the recent raid. Man, it's crazy outside right now. And also, we're going to be talking about J. Cole sending shots at Kendrick Lamar and more. Stay tuned.
Arkatech Beatz.
What's up, everybody? It is the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast. We are your hosts, platinum producers, Arkatech Beatz. I'm Juggernaut.
I am Mike Trauma D.
And together, we make the super duper group, Arkatech Beatz, man. If y'all never been here before, welcome to the page. Welcome to the channel. Every week we get together to talk about different things in the music business, trying to help folks really help folks earn from their art, learn the music business, and really navigate this crazy industry. And today we wanted to talk about a few things that have been really on our radar, especially as it comes to copyright infringement. I think that has been a thing that we have been championing now for the last 2 years about registering your songs, register for copyright protection. Yeah. And this is a prime example of what can happen to a person who doesn't understand copyright law, who doesn't understand copyrights, and people who are sampling music to make new music but not getting the proper clearances. And this is a very, very bad scenario where a person made a whole lot of money and now there's a judgment coming for them to basically take almost everything that the song has earned. And it's just nuts. So the rapper in question is Trey Fuego. He has a song that's a TikTok hit, 90 miles an hour on TikTok. And it basically has like it's a loop from a Japanese composer, and it's a big record on TikTok. It's like it's generated close to $800,000, and that's what Sony sued him for.
For 800, how much?
$800K.
God damn.
Yeah, so they've been trying to serve him, and they wind up serving him the lawsuit via DM. That's a whole nother.
Wait.
That's a whole nother.
Again, they via DM.
They got permission from the court to serve him via social media DMs, so you can get served for lawsuits through your DMs, folks. Which is, whoa! I didn't even know that can even be a thing. But according to this article that I'm reading here, that's what it said. That's what they said happened, and basically they broke down the damages, which had they said basically Sony Music lost license fee was $150,000. They said basically his additional sound recordings revenues was $550,000, and then Sony Music Publishing lost license fee was $100,000. And then they had a total of
who's his lawyers, man?
Listen,
the Diddy's lawyers. Man.
They said it's a Diddy lawyer. It could be.
What could be. You were about to say one more thing. What else?
It's a total of $802,997.23. It's a lot of bread, bro. You almost made $1 million off the song, and they're coming for it all. And and then part of the settlement looks like it'll be 50% revenues connected to the music composition, and then paying 20% of revenues connected to the sound recording.
So there was a settlement.
Yeah.
But they couldn't get it any better than giving up that whole entire pie out the gate.
I guess it's maybe in the way that he whoever he got to reply to this thing, they just didn't handle it right.
This is wild.
Oh, you know what happened? It looked like because, in fact, the only unreasonable behavior in this case was the defendant, as he consistent attempts to evade service. And basically because he was trying to play around with being served, and he didn't respond to meaningful communications, and he stymied the case. That's why
Yeah,
they came for him like that.
but you're getting a
No
DM.
Diddy.
It
Sorry.
could, but you're getting a DM. It could be from anybody. Like, how do you even know that? Like, how do you even know it's valid? How do you know that the DM is from a reputable person? Like,
Come on, bro. Once you start seeing that, hey, bro, we trying to reach you about the sample, they're gonna tell you what it's about. You know what it is.
so he answered it. What if he didn't
Yeah.
answer? What if he didn't answer it?
Then it would be a default judgment. You know what I'm saying? Like he lost the case, but look like he did. If he didn't answer it, still, like, you know what I'm saying? Because what all they have to prove is that that they sent it to him. So regardless of whether or not he answered it, you know, that's how service works, man.
I
Once they
thought
can
I
prove,
thought it was you have to have proof of receipts. Like someone has to there has to be proof.
you know how they gonna have read receipts. You know how that go in socials.
So how does he know?
Seen, not
But how does he
seen,
know
sent.
that it's like, for example, let's say it's a team or it's a company and it's not the actual individual. Like how does the person know that the person who's intended for actually received it? It's like getting a speeding ticket. It's like getting a red light camera ticket. You don't know who's in the car. You ticket the vehicle. You don't know who's in the car.
It's not really the same. You know, once they don't have to serve the actual person sometimes. Sometimes they just have to know that that actual person is able to have access to it. It's not always a situation where we have to go to you, but if we know that you reside there and somebody in your household accepts it, then it's the same difference. So if you have a staff that's working someplace and they accept it,
They
and it's
accepting it on your behalf.
yeah, they accept it on your behalf. So it's not a situation where you can just be like, oh, I didn't get it. That wasn't flying here. I just think that he could have dealt with it a little bit better. But let's really talk about folks. Folks need to really understand that you cannot sample people's music without permission. And we have to keep saying that to the mountaintops. Like, hey, you cannot sample people's music. There is repercussions. If people take the right steps to protect their music, it puts you in the driver's seat. That's why they were able to take all of the revenue. It's basically you've made them a remix to their song. Sorry. it's their song. It's like, yeah, you rapped on it and you added a beat to it, but it's their song. Like they damn near claim ownership of the damn thing.
Yeah, they could do anything they want. When you sample somebody, they can and as unfair as you as the person who remixed it or reproduced it or whatever, as unfair as it may feel to you, because you may feel that you added some stuff to it or you chopped it up or you did all of these things to it. If it's their sample, they could just flat out deny you and say, yo, we don't want you using it. And the fact that you used it, now we're gonna charge you a premium. I remember when we were working on the Mobilarity album, the original Mobilarity album, and we had all these records that were crazy. The original sample, people like, nah, you can't use these records. Like they deaded us. Like we had like a lot of records that was supposed to be on the original Mobilarity, and they were dead at the sample. People came and was like, nah, you can't use that record. We don't care how much you pay. You just can't use it. That's it. We don't want our music associated with this genre of music. That's it. And all of those earlier records that was supposed to be the basis of that album were removed. So it hurts. As a producer, you get this sample, you find this crazy sample, obscure sample, no matter if it's overseas or whatever. Some other genre of music, and it's crazy. You're doing this to it. You're spending time, adding drums and you flipping it and this and that and the third. But at the end of the day, if it's a sample, somebody else could come in and be like, you know what, the sample owner be like, nah, that's it. I don't want you using it, and you can't even pay me. I don't. It's their call, and so that's why we promote the importance of getting your samples clear. If you're going to use samples, get it clear.
Not only that, but also like you can be the person getting sampled. Like that's the other part of it. And you know, the way music is discovered now, anyone can be sampled. As long as you put your music out there, you can be the one that's being sampled and infringed upon. So do you want somebody to take your music and, you know, turn it into a viral hit and then, you know, remove you from all of the revenue streams? Because that's what happened in this case. Yeah. Right. So if you're a person,
it works both ways. Yeah.
It works both ways. So if you're sampling somebody, you know, you got to license and clear it so you can for proper use. But also if you're putting music into, if this is your craft and you're putting music into the public space, at least protect yourself so that if somebody does decide to take your music just out of inspiration, admiration, and to make it into a new work that, you know, happens to go viral, you're in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
But I don't see people taking those precautions. People are like, well, it won't happen to me. Listen, it happens. People sample your music. It does happen. If your music is good, you know, it may not happen in year 1, year 2, but it may happen in year 10.
Do you think this person thought that it will go viral? Like, do you even think that when he did it, that he knew that this is going to be something, and I better brace myself?
You would never know, Mike. You would never know. But once it starts going, so look, we've been in this situation before, where you sample something, you don't necessarily clear it, but it starts getting traction.
Mm-hmm.
That's, you know, because we know sometimes you can't clear the sample in the beginning because you don't have the funds. Right. You don't have the money to clear the sample. But if you see it getting traction, take some of the resources that you earned, you're getting shows, whatever,
mm-hmm.
contact the clearinghouse and get it cleared on the back end. He could have did that on when he earned the first 50,000. When he earned the first 10,000, he could have did it. When he earned the first 100,000, he could have did it. You know what I'm saying? When he earned $250,000, he could have did it. You know what I'm saying?
Probably like, so that money was like,
bro, because you know, and I know this money that money's not made overnight. It said basically he had already earned over 600,000. And his DistroKid account had another 15,000, 14,000 in there waiting for him. You dig? So he was getting the money. Like, you know, that it take time for that money to come.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So we're not even talking about the publisher side. We're just talking about from the distributor.
Can you imagine that, man? You as an artist and you are a producer, and you put that together, and then you see this happening. Like,
you're supposed to go clear the record, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that's the truth. If you earning money, go clear the record. Like, he could have avoided this. For all you know, he could have probably, if he'd have did it on the front end, he probably would have maybe lost 25% of the record.
All right, so then
if he did it in good faith,
I wonder if he knew the sample clearance process, or he figured he wouldn't be caught. Because so many times, you know, especially for a lot of producers in the U.S., you sample from overseas, some obscure stuff that in the other side of the world that they think nobody never heard, and you know, do some things to it, little effects, reverse this, that.
He sped it up.
You sped it up, right?
Yeah.
And then and then you're like, oh, nobody's gonna notice this. Nobody's gonna hear this.
Yeah.
And then, pow, this happens.
Yeah.
So you think he knew what he was doing, as opposed to like just didn't understand the sample.
Everybody know you can't sample no music that don't belong to you, bro. Like, this is not, you know, the Biz Markie, you know, 89, you know what I'm saying, where nobody don't know what sampling is type shit. Like, come on. Everybody got to stop the bullshit. You know that record's not original. You know it. Somebody got to get paid on it, bro. You know? Again, when you made the first 10,000, you should say, hey, man, let me go get to a clearinghouse. It probably would have just cost you 10 grand to clear.
You think he has a lawyer?
I don't even know, man. I would assume that at this rate he should. I would assume that, man, but this is crazy. I'm sorry, I was wrong when I said according to the court document, they said he earned 700,000 in revenue, right? So it was 686,000, which was paid, right, and then another 14,000 that was held by the distributor of DistroKid.
What was how? Does it say how many times he was streamed?
It ain't saying how much time it was streamed. It's just saying what he earned. So you could take that number, and if you break it down in a streaming calculator, reverse, if he made 700,000, that's millions and millions of streams, bro.
Should have known somebody was coming.
Yeah, that's like in the hundreds of millions of streams.
Yeah, like, you got to know somebody coming when you start hitting them numbers.
Bro, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Like, you don't want that.
So you got to give all of that back. Plus, moving forward, he only gonna get 50%.
Listen, you heard. I played you the record before the pod, so that's lightning striking for homie. You know that, and I know that. I listen to the music. I'm like, nah, this is like lightning striking, bro. You caught a lick right here. This is a lick. This happens once in a. This is like lottery hit right here. And you fumbled it because this ain't striking again. And I'm almost sure that money's spent.
2 new cars.
I'm sure that this money is spent
already.
I'm sure. You know what I'm saying?
That's the other thing, man. That's the other thing that I think like the community really needs to understand is when you get these things, when you get this quote unquote hit, lick, whatever you want to call it, you got to put something to the side because you don't know what's going to happen when it comes to taxes, when it comes to even somebody coming in saying you owe them or a sample or whatever the case may be. Like when you start making these records and you start getting these quote unquote hits or success or whatever you want to call it, like you got to start putting something to the side. You got to start lining yourself up with an attorney, all of these things, or else when this happens, you're in shambles. You always got to put something to the side, man, because you just don't know like what's going to come out of anywhere. And the way the internet is right now, the way the laws are moving around with technology and things are changing every day, sometimes you just don't know what's what and what was normal at one moment is something different the next moment. A rule that was this way is a different rule now. So it's like you really got to stay on top of your game. You really got to check in on, technology and all of the laws and the business and all the things that are happening. And you got to have an attorney on deck, man. You reach this number, 1 million streams, millions and millions of streams. Bro, they're coming for you, man. They're coming for you. Like you sample something and you got million plus streams.
Got to get ready, man. You got to get ready.
You heard the record. Like how recognizable was it?
That's recognizable, man. It's a straight loop, man. It's a jack. Listen, man. I think these guys.
You didn't do anything to it.
Yeah, you put some drums on it, but that, what I'm saying? Like that ain't this shit, man. Listen, I'm looking at my camera. Like, listen, you guys can't take people music, man. Like, I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna keep saying it. You can't take people music. If you don't understand that you cannot take people music and just, like it just doesn't work that way. Like, folks are going to hold you accountable. They're coming for you. Like and this is,
and they'll sit in their wait.
And that's what it looked like they did too. It looked like they sat and they waited for him.
Waiting for him to run up the number. See, that's the thing. When you're the sample owner, now the ball is in your court, and you have the leverage. So they could have been literally just sitting there, just watching the numbers run up and waiting. And they said, "Okay, he got 1 million. Okay, he got 2 million. How much that's going to add up to?" Like they just watched it till they got to a certain point where they're like, "You know what? Okay, now let's hit him. We want everything and all that. We want the lump. We don't want to give you the opportunity to pull it down and not get that revenue. We want you to make the money for us, and then we'll come for it."
That's what I was gonna say next. It's like, you know, they normally could have hit him with the cease and desist
Yeah.
and pull it all down. Like, that's what people are not realizing. Like, they can come and just say, hey, we're stopping all of the revenue.
Yeah.
But the way that these mofos moved, they didn't wait for the revenue to stop. They're like, nah, fuck that. We want this shit to keep going. Like,
keep going. Good job.
Good job. You working for us now. You know what I mean? Like, you work for us. Like, give me that.
They sat in the cut and waited. Let them. And then the funny thing is, this could have easily be a record that you poured money into. Like you started promoting and getting ads and doing music videos and putting real money behind, and they could literally be sitting back there like, you spend your money promoting it, but we're gonna wait it out, and then we're gonna hit you for everything.
Man, listen, we keep telling folks, listen, you know, we got the Musician's Guide to Music Copyrights.
Yep.
If you don't have it, you know, you can get it at arkatechbeats.com. We're going to run it, you know, put it in the description, and also the Musician's Guide to Music Publishing. This is all part of it. You need to kind of understand both. It's two different things. You know, copyright is part of music publishing, but you have to understand how these things work, how you can protect yourself, because it could easily be any one of our records. It could easily be that. Like the same way that this Japanese artist just happened to be signed to Sony, but it could be anybody's music that people searching on YouTube that just happens to pop up in their feed, and they're like, oh, I like that. People take it and they just do things to it, and they, you know, like you see it happening all of the time. People are taking old music that you discarded, that you don't even remember that you had, and they're making new songs out of it. Like,
and sometimes it works out for you, because isn't that what happened with the Bobby Shmurda record, where they found Jalil's beat, which was actually a Lloyd Banks
song,
freestyle or something, a record.
Yep. That's exactly what happened.
But it worked out, you know, and you know that doesn't always happen, you know. So you just got to be prepared, you know, better prepared. And Jug, you know what the scary part is? What if you don't know it's a sample?
This episode of the Arkatech Beats Music Business Podcast is brought to you by our own ebooks: the Songwriter's Guide to Song Registration, the Musician's Guide to Music Copyrights, the Musician's Guide to Music Publishing, and the Ultimate Guide to Forming Your Own Music LLC. All of these books are really essential for artists, producers, musicians to really learn how to navigate the music industry and how to really make a living off of your art. So just make sure you go pick those up. Those are available at arkatechbeats.com. We're going to put a link in the description, and thank you guys for supporting. I was gonna talk about that because we were talking about how the uncleared sample pack situations, right?
Yeah, like it is such a tricky game right now, and there's a big thing going on online right now where, you know, these sample packs, you know, that are being sold to producers to add on and create more beats and stuff like that. Like some of them, you know, are straight up samples. They're someone else's intellectual property, and you may not necessarily know that. They may be selling it as 100% royalty free. You know, they're saying anything. What happens in those scenarios? Because I would assume if that was to happen, you get sued off of a beat pack, you would have to turn around and sue the beat pack makers, I would assume.
Yeah, but they could also, you know, it depends. Because depending on the terms of service, when you buy it, they can be, you know, indemnify themselves. It just all depends. It's very hard to figure this thing out. What some people are recommending is that you Shazam your samples to see if something comes up. Because Shazam is probably the easiest way to kind of see if a content ID exists or some sort of fingerprint exists. Sometimes it won't show up because Shazam is also a service that people have to select when they're distributing their music. Not everybody delivers their music to Shazam.
Well, what about old music that may not have been
exactly
over to the Shazam
library? That's what I'm saying. So if you don't have, if those songs are not entered into the system for Shazam, like you're not going to be able to play it to see if it identifies with another song or if it's fingerprinted by another song. You're not going to be able to know. So it puts you in a very, very tight situation. You know, it's not a, because what we're looking for as producers, we're looking for sounds. We're looking for loops. We're looking for melodies. We're looking to add things on to, you know, to add on to our work, embellish our work. Most times we're looking for royalty-free stuff because we don't really want to have the issue of having to license it and pay for licensing and so forth and so on. So I figure you pay one time, you get to use it as much as you want to use it, as long as it's put into a new composition.
Right.
But if it has somebody else's material in it, it becomes very janky.
Especially with these samples with the vocal, because you know I've come across a couple of beat packs and I'm listening to them and I'm like, this sounds like a record that was slowed down and filtered. It sounds like a straight up record, like somebody's singing on a record. Whose record is this? And you can Shazam it and it won't come up, but you know it's somebody's record. You know, so it's almost like you got to take the sample and speed it back up, unfilter it, and see if it's and then Shazam it or something like. And then what makes it even more tricky is that technology has gotten to a point now where you're pulling out the stems. So at one point you could say, hey, if you don't have stems, then it's of course it's somebody's sample. But now they're taking samples that could, you know, off straight up records that could belong to someone, and then they're pulling the stems out and selling that to you as part of the package. So you're like, you're kind of stuck. You have no way of really knowing. You think, oh, they got the stem, so that must mean that they did it themselves. Nope. They sampled the record, ran it through the stem separator, got the stems out, and they're selling it to you as a package, claiming that they did the record.
It's a dirty game, man.
Dirty game, man.
Yeah, it's a real dirty game, man. It's a dirty game. I want people to look out for that type of stuff. It's not much you can do. You know, there's not much you can do. I like to kind of go to websites that kind of do that for you versus going to independent loop makers and beat, you know, like sample pack people. I you know, unless it has a very, very established name, you know, because you have some really big ones that have established themselves as really good sample creators. But
these fly by night guys that's just dropping them.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
You gotta be careful, man. And the thing is, you won't even know. You would hear a dope loop, and here they're saying in the description that it's created by them, or they made the loop, or they played this out, and you know it's 100% royalty free, and you never have to pay one time, and that's it. But then you know, mess around, and you know you hit a lick like this artist, and you know they come in. And that's the worst, man. I think it's the worst when you know the business, you know what you're supposed to do, and something like this happens where you didn't know it was a sample. Like you really took the word of the people that actually provided to you. You took it as that. You would expect people to be honest, but in business you just got to really be careful. And I guess the best way of practice is just to always, whatever money you're making, you got to always put something to the side for a rainy day, just like in real life. In real life, as you're going along, anything could happen at any given time, and it's best to have a little nest, you know, like emergency, so that you could run and dip into. You got to do the same thing with the music business. You got to have a little stash in case, you know, your taxes is all messed up because of music, you know, your lawyer fees, you know, someone comes after you for a suit or a settlement, something. You got to have something to put to the side, because you just never know in this game. And the technology is just changing so quickly that it's hard to keep up sometimes. Like this change, like technology, like it's quick, like weekly. You know, now they got the stem separator and it's just doing all sorts. I think we're gonna see more of these, Drug.
Listen, listen. It only makes sense
because of
because
the stem. You see what technology is doing with all this stem separating. I think we're gonna see a lot more of this happening, where people are gonna go back to original records, or records that are artists that came out, and people are gonna go back in and they're gonna stem separate and they're gonna take the vocals out and reproduce them, and then put them out, and then the companies are gonna be like, no, this is our artist. You can't go back and just reproduce the record and put it out. You can't go back and reproduce a Nas album as much as you would like, not without the proper authority, clearances, and speak to the right people. Man, like, I would love to put out a couple things. You know,
listen, folks don't understand. Like, listen, this is a double-edged sword. You know, in this microwave society, you can put things out and things can go real fast. But you know, in the case, say like you don't clear it. In the case you don't clear it in the beginning and you start to make some money, go back and clear it.
Go back and clear it.
That's all. That's all you got to do. It's like, because there are plenty of albums that you and I have been a part of, major label releases.
Yes, I was gonna say
that put stuff out
and put money to the side for that
and clear it in the background.
Yep.
Because they were trying to meet a deadline, and they can't get everything going. Some people will keep it off the album, but sometimes they don't. You know,
or they have a hard time finding the sample, the original people who own the sample,
right?
Because it's so, you know, obscure. So what the label will do is they'll set aside some money because they know that they're gonna, once they find a person,
they gotta pay.
They gotta pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what they do is they negotiate it and they get it to do what they got to do. Because look, if you remember when we were doing all the Nas stuff and doing all the Ray stuff, and we had a particular guy that we were sampling from, and there was a new age artist that used to be signed to Columbia and then Sony, whatever. So he was also signed to Sony, right? New age artist, and he started to clear our samples, and then he wanted to meet us, right? And he was like, hey, I want to meet you guys, and if you guys can use my whole catalog, and if you want to come to my studio, you can do that. And we went out to dinner, and it was really good building that relationship with him. But you know, he had a bunch of music that was in a different genre that just wasn't producing the because we made a #1 rap record, you know, or a top 10 rap record with his sample, which effectively gave him a top 10 Billboard record that he never had. Right. Yeah. So this is so it was like, wow, like, you know, this is new ground for us. And the truth is, it's like that artist probably wasn't earning as much money as they earning on this particular viral hit. So some of these people are open to it, but you have to build that relationship with them. Like, you can't just take the music. Some people don't want nothing to do with your genre. You've already said that.
Yeah.
And but some people will be very grateful for you basically giving their old record life.
It's like the Eric Sermon thing.
Yeah. It's a new revenue stream for them at this point. Like, you have basically created a new stream of revenue for these folks that had music that probably wasn't doing no numbers. So, you know, it's something that we have to pay attention to. So, folks, make sure you copyright your music. #1, to protect yourself in case somebody wants to sample your music. Because if you music gets sampled and you don't have it copyrighted, you cannot sue, like how Sony did. That is a legal requirement for you to be able to get damages. Is you have to have it copyrighted, registration through copyright.gov, right? So let's put that out there. And then also, if you're going to sample somebody's work, you do need to have it sample clearances, because that's also most likely copyrighted, and they will come for you if you start to earn some money, or they may issue a takedown. But you know, you're at their mercy. They can take all your revenue like they did in this case, and they can decide the terms of what the music will earn in the future. They could have taken 100% of his royalty in the beginning.
They could have sued him for damages also. They could have said, you hurt my brand. I want an extra on top of what you earn.
They really kind of they hit him, but they really didn't like take him out for the count. Like, you know how it could have gone. They could have did the the Peter Guns joint and take
They could have
100% of the record.
they could have took all of the money, sue him for damages, and then say
Yeah.
don't use any more of our records.
Yeah. It could have went really bad. Could have went really bad. People, make sure you're clear on your music. So we're gonna pivot a little bit, man. You know, because everybody's been asking us about this thoughts about, you know, stuff with Diddy, man. The recent raids, and they raided his crib, Homeland Security. We don't know what they're looking for. He just happened to not be there conveniently. They said his jet was on the move, that his jet was going to Antigua, and then they forced it to land, and all types of allegations, and he wasn't on the plane. He just happens to be in Miami. It's a crazy.
What
and
what is
then
happening?
people are
What is happening?
and then people are saying like, "Oh, where are the friends? No one's defending him." You know, and this is a testament to where we are as a society. And a person can make an allegation or put a lawsuit out there, which is a lawsuit is basically an allegation. We don't know if it's true or not. It's just an allegation. He hasn't had his day in court, but it's a public record allegation that, you know, that will basically becomes public record. And he lost everything. He's lost the Ciroc situation. He's no longer the brand ambassador. He had to sell his shares in Revolt. Anything else he had going on, they've removed him from it. I'm seeing articles now talking about they're starting to pull back on his music on radio. What?
I mean, and these are still quote unquote allegations.
And he has not been criminally charged with a crime. He has not been indicted. Nothing. Just an allegation in a lawsuit.
There's just an investigation going on. That's
yeah, that's it.
Being that he paid out Cassie, you know, we said this in a prior podcast. I think that is where, you know, as soon as that allegation came up, as soon as he got note that she was unhappy, disgruntled, whatever you want to call it, whatever happened, you know, he should have just quietly gave her what she wanted. Just pair out under the radar, without the press getting involved, and that be that. Because now that is public and you still paid it out, the public is already going to feel that you're guilty.
Yeah.
And then you set a tone for everyone to come and sue or make allegations. And we're not sure what is true, what is false, because we don't know. You know, I'm not saying that he didn't do it. We don't know. That's the thing. We just don't know. He has to have his day in court, you know, or everything needs to come to light. You know, and it's just kind of wild that, you know, allegations could be made and without any actual physical proof, without your day in court, without anything being really revealed, you know, everybody is kind of just distancing themselves. He's losing this, he's losing that. And it kind of somewhat reminds me a little bit of the Kanye thing, where if we don't like this, or you say this, or you quote unquote may have behaved a certain way, we're going to remove everything from your life. And what happens if he goes to court and it comes to light that all of this shit was fake, or the person lied, or there's no proof? What happens then?
Nothing. He just lost everything.
Your shit is still in shambles.
Yep.
You can't get that back. Like, who do you sue? LAPD? Who, like, what happens? Do you counter sue?
You can. I think that he's in a bad spot, and I think that someone who is as influential, affluent, connected as he is with the resources that he has, that this is just so poorly handled, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's like it's that's why it feels like, to me, it feels like it's a setup, by the actual, legal system. Not necessarily, like, people say, well, what do you mean when I say that? Like, I really feel like the folks that's going, the lawyers that will be investigating him and trying to get an indictment, because of course, if you're the lawyer that indicts Combs, you're become a superstar, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like the
Johnny.
yeah,
You become Johnny.
if you're the person, like right now, you have the attorney general in New York that's got the lawsuit judgment against Trump. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's become famous.
Yeah.
You know,
The dream team.
and
Become the dream team.
yeah, so the same with the one in Georgia. So, like, you become famous for getting a high profile person who did something allegedly to go down. So it's like a game, and what I've started to realize too is that there's a lot of hatred for people who are successful, and the people from our generation, and we're Gen X, that are successful. They're very aggressive in the way that they have to become successful, and they don't have those personalities that everybody likes, because and I know, in order for you to become successful during that period, you had to be really a dog. You had to really go out and make certain things happen, and people, you stepped on a lot of toes to become successful in those days, and people don't like it. Now it's like they don't like those folks, and they want them to lose everything. Like, how do you want them to lose everything on allegations?
Yeah. I mean, we're not saying he didn't do it. We're just saying that we really gotta sit and wait for the real facts to come in. And it's
I
the
think it
problem.
just goes both ways. I'm like, where's the protection for you? Where is the protection for somebody? Like, I keep seeing this is the playbook. Like, where it's like, if you want somebody to lose something, just find a past partner and say, hey, he SA'd me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't even have to be true. Just say it. Just say that he SA'd me, and everything just closes off. And I don't
So,
know, and I don't know if that's fair.
so allegations, or I remember we were talking behind the scenes about this. So a person could make a, you know, a statement, and it not being true, can file it in the courts, and then it just becomes public record
Yeah.
without it even going to trial. It becomes record. And the funny thing is that the way social media is and where people are, it doesn't take much for them to all of a sudden believe. It doesn't take much. You put a video or a picture on social media, and you put your own title, and then you're already conditioned to view the video how the title is set. There's this there's this Diddy and Meat Mill thing going on right now all over the internet.
It's terrible.
And you know, you don't know if it's real.
It's terrible.
Like with the things you could do with AI, the things you could do with cameras, the things you could do with your software, with vocals, and there's just so much things you could do. It's a dangerous time. You could accuse anybody of anything. You could change people's faces and put them on different bodies. And it's very concerning on where we're going with this technology and how it's going to affect not only music, but how it's going to affect society as a whole. When you start getting accused of things, down to crimes and everything, and I know we're going just a little bit off the music business, but you're going to be accused of certain things, and they're going to have video footage. And then you're like, but I wasn't there. I didn't do that. That's not me. But this shows this is you. This shows you. And how do you prove these things? And then all of a sudden, this is what the general public is thinking. This is what the general public is accusing you of. And that, because of that, you lose your businesses. Banks could probably come in and seize things. You know, your reputation and everything you worked and earned is gone. Your family's in a disarray. Like, what is going on here? Without a day in court.
Bro, this guy is losing 30 years of legacy.
It's being wiped out.
Overnight.
Yep.
30 years of legacy. And I listen, I'm not here to, I'm not a judge or a jury. I'm not here to say what he did or what he didn't do. You know? But I'm privy to this music industry. You know, we're privy to it. We see what happens in the music industry and what people do to get on. Right? Mm-hmm. We see it, you know. Some people prey on that. Some people are active participants, you know, and they do things for a particular outcome, and when the outcome doesn't occur, mm-hmm. then people become very salty, mm-hmm. you know, and then all of a sudden here come the allegations, you know. So it's a situation where you have these things that I'm not really feeling where it's going. I feel like for a lot of people that are in this business, it's like you don't know how to move. You know, you can't help people. If people have consenting adults have relations, then all of a sudden it's no longer consenting, or it turns into abuse, and it's everything is just wild right now. It's a very, very, very wild time. I don't know what it's going to take for people to do different. I don't know what it's going to take. We just keep seeing people lose. And then another part of that new lawsuit, because they said that your guy, Little Rod, was put in the lawsuit in, that he made some amendments to it because he also had put in like Sir Lucian Grange in there and a bunch of other people in there, high profile people, 50 Cent baby mother, you know, and these are people that are all being wrapped into this lawsuit. And it's just crazy. When I'm looking at this one, I'm like, this is just nuts right now. And I'm not even talking about the raids. His kids now are being accused of assault. Talking about you know, drugs and alcohol, because they consider that to be drugging. So if everybody's, you know, smoking weed or taking ecstasy or doing whatever they're not supposed to be doing, it's now considered, you know, drugging in SA. So it's all crazy. You know what I'm saying? When you look at it, and it's like, I would want to tell guys out there you got to protect yourselves.
I wonder what's Diddy's mental space right now, and I wonder who does he check into? Like, I don't remember Diddy having someone over him to be like, nah, you can't do this. He'd be like, he's kind of just a ego-driven.
Remember that used to be Clive. That used to be Andre. Used to be Clive. Mm-hmm. You know, those are the people that are his mentors. You know, and then, you know, you have these rumors about Clive and Andre, you know, that have been out there allegedly. You know, that, you know, it's learned behavior. I'm sorry to say. They're trying to say that it's learned behavior. I don't know how true that is. You know what I'm saying? This is rock and roll, or, you know, music business. And, you know, the things that are always pervasive in the music business has always been alcohol, sex, and drugs.
Yeah. You know
what I'm saying?
Yeah, Hollywood. Yeah.
This is entertainment.
Yeah.
You know, and if you just look at our media, just look at what it portrays: alcohol, sex, and drugs. Like, you know, art imitating life, and vice versa. So, you know, all of a sudden now we're looking at it and we're saying, oh, you know, this is not this and this is not that, but it's always been that. You know, it's never, you know, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. You know, if you're an adult, you always have the ability to say no and remove yourself from it.
Right.
If people are, trying to force themselves on you, then that's a whole different situation. And of course, that should be met with, swift punishment and legal situations. But in cases where that's not the case, if you're an adult and you're making a conscious decision to participate in this industry, that's part of it. You have to make the decision of whether or not you want to be part of that situation. You and I have been in plenty of rooms where people are like, hey, you want some of this? And we'd be like, nah, we good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But plenty of rooms. You want some of this?
You want to smoke this? You want something?
Yeah. You see what's going on here? Nah, we good. Period. Like, you know what I'm saying? You have the ability to say no and walk away from that situation.
What I don't like is when people think that they have to do that, like that's the only way they're able to reach any type of success. Like, oh, I got to do this because that person is going to put me on, or that person's going to do this. And like, no, man, like you shouldn't be compromising your integrity, your values, your belief system,
your body.
Yeah, like it's really mind-boggling, like that people want this fame and want it so bad that they put themselves in a position, for anything. And at one point, you have to look at yourself and say, no. You got to say, no, I'm not doing that. Yeah, you got to set up certain boundaries and have a certain respect for yourself. Like, yo, I want it, but I'm not wanting this bad that I'm going to go to this person's hotel room at 3 a.m. And, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, man.
You gotta kind of like look at the situation and really use your common sense. Like, why do I need to go to this person's hotel room at this hour in the morning by myself? Like I can't even bring somebody. Why does it have to be at this time, this night? This can't be handled in the office with in the daytime with people around. And I can't bring anybody. Like you gotta look at all of these things and tell yourself, like, nah, I'm not compromising my integrity and risking my life, for this. It's wild, man. Like there's other ways of being successful. There's other ways of hard work, man. Hard work, grinding,
Yeah. So what if you're gonna lose? So what if you're gonna lose that job, man?
Then you work hard and grind and you look for another job, or you go elsewhere, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna lose this job if I don't do this. So what? What makes you think that why should you do that? Like the job is not worth that.
And if your job, and if your job is relies on you to compromise who you are, compromise your belief and your whole everything you are, and even risk your safety or your life, then that ain't the job for you.
No, that's right.
You go elsewhere. You find a job that works for you. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, in this music business, these things are presented, and I've watched a couple of interviews, and I've also seen it that people will test you first. They're gonna test you and see if you're down. They're gonna test you and see if you're with it, if you're for it, if you're up for those parties, if you go that way, if you're into that kind of stuff. They'll ask you a few questions. They see you and hey, you want this? You want this? You want it? They'll test you first, and you have to just be on your P's and Q's and be like, nah, I ain't with it. And I stand on that. And I'll leave. I don't gotta be here.
Real talk, man. Like, and we talking from that experience, man. Like that's real talk, and people got to really understand. Like, you got to take your position, and you got to stand on business. And let people know, like, hey, that's not who we are. That's not what we do. You know what I mean? Like that's for you. We're not judging what you do. That's your business, but that's not who we are. That's not what we do. You know what I'm saying? So people got to be okay with that, man.
And we ain't mad at you. That's your thing. That's your thing.
That's your thing. Word.
If everybody's of age and everybody's consenting then that's your thing, man. Go ahead. I ain't gonna judge all that. I ain't gonna be mad at you. We can still have a conversation in the morning about some business.
Yeah.
That's fine, but you know, that's not how I rock. You know what I'm saying? And you know, people gotta understand. People gotta know themselves in this business, and it's very easy. See, that's not what's talked about a lot. People lose themselves in this business very easily.
Word.
And we said this on a prior podcast about just you gotta have a strong foundation, a good support system, getting in this game. You gotta set up certain rules and boundaries for yourself and say, I'm not going past this. I'm not doing this. Because what happens is if you don't set up these boundaries, if you don't set up these rules and have foundation and have a strong support system, you could easily find yourself in a situation that you're wondering, yo, how did I get here? You know, what happened to me? Strung out, you know, on drugs, you know, alcoholic, you know, just addicted to whatever, whether it's gambling or sex or
Yeah.
whatever, or just you know, the high life, the fast life. Yeah, you could just lose yourself or find yourself one day by yourself in a hotel room strung out. And some people even lose their life. So, you know, again, not to go too far off, but just, you know, when you see these headlines with the Diddy and all of these people coming out the woodwork saying they're unhappy with this and their lawsuits and their accusations, you got to tell yourself, okay, at what point did they say, no, I'm not getting involved. No, I'm not going to do this. When did they say, I'm not with this? You know, it's crazy, man. It's the music business, man.
Yeah, that's it, man. Whew. It's crazy, bro. I'm hoping that everybody's taking notes, man, and paying attention. Listen, we want everybody to be safe in this game. You know, it's not an easy game, and it takes strong-willed people to make sure that you can kind of get through this thing and navigate it safely. Before we wrap up, Kendrick Lamar sending shots at everybody. J. Cole responds. You know, we don't really talk about we don't really review the music. You know, I wanted us to talk about Metro Boomin's album and what we thought about it, and you know, it did decent numbers. I had it did over 200,000 in the week. You know, and then J. Cole dropped his project, you know, kind of out of the blue. You know, quick EP it looks like. And of course he sends a shot at Kendrick. What's your thought on it? What's your thought on all of the controversy? Is the beef good for music right now? Or is it all just mid?
The best record out of this whole beef that I've heard is the first person shooter, in my opinion. Sonically, musically, production wise, tone, flow, the back and forth, the content, the subtle content, the hidden content, the obvious content, the wordplay. Like, you know, I think that record has been the strongest that out of the whole back and forth. Kendrick's response to me was light. I didn't care for the beat. I felt the beat was, you know, can I say mid? In my opinion, no.
It is a sample of an older record,
Right?
which you know, which is kind of paying homage to that, but it's kind of like
no disrespect, no disrespect.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel that if vocally Kendrick just made a couple of lines here and there as just a quick statement, and then J. Cole's response to me again, to me that beat was mid to me. I don't think he attacked it. I think it was more of a light jab, if even. I don't think his flow, his delivery, I don't think he said anything kind of like, wow. Just everything was just regular. Like he said a couple of things and nothing to wow me. And then the flow to me wasn't there. And we spoke about this earlier. You said it was because of the beat. The beat didn't demand that type of
it doesn't respond. It's the beat that he chose to use to me is what made the overall record mid. Like that's what people are not. That's what people don't realize that they're responding to. Is they're responding to the beat. Like if the beat is kind of like okay, and it doesn't excite them, and then lyrically to me, I think he's always been on point. But it's like because the two don't create anything extraordinary. It's just like, you know what I'm saying? Because he did send some shots, he said that, first album this, and you drop bars every, a few bars every few months. Like,
yeah, but that's a Jay-Z line, 4 albums and whatever.
Listen, it's just a subtle jab. To me, I don't think your boy going at him because I don't even think these guys should talk about him. This is my opinion. My opinion is this. You can't keep inserting yourself in the conversation and you ain't dropping no projects. Like, we are holding the culture down right now, me and Drake. Like, we are the ones that are pushing it forward. We are collaborating. We are making these extraordinary videos. We making these songs. So, like, honestly, they should ignore his ass. That's what I think. I don't even think they should even respond to him in name. I think Drake shouldn't say shit about this guy because you validate him. So I don't think you should say anything about this guy. I think what we should learn from it all is, the Meek Mill came out. You heard Meek Mill real good with it when you did your responses. Pusha got a little bit of you. If he never responded to Pusha, what would have happened? We wouldn't even be talking about the guy. And I love Pusha T personally. You know what I'm saying? Like, at some point, you can't respond to the trolls in your comments. You can't.
I listened to that Pusha response the other day again.
God damn. Grimy, bro. Jeez. It's grimy, man.
Yo, grimy. You know what the other thing is, man? When it comes to, I think here's something that I think a lot of artists do not pay attention to when they are doing a response record. You got to be very selective of the beat. Yeah. Like the beat is more important than ever. It ain't your regular song. You got to make sure that beat like encompasses what you're trying to lyrically say, man.
Yeah.
If that beat ain't working, then what you're saying ain't good luck, You gotta really come with it, man. You the marriage between beat and some diss lyrics, But I also think there's another part of me that feels that this is a setup by J. Cole.
I agree. I think he's calculated like that.
It feels like it feels extremely light for J. Cole. After hearing First Person Shooter and the way he's rhyming on that, the way he's sitting on that beat, the way he's playing with the flow, what he's saying, like, and the context and the way he's bouncing on that beat, and like, and then the code of this, it's like, nah, this ain't A+ material, I know this feel like a setup. This feel like he's baiting him in, Kendrick in, and then the real bombs is in the cut. That's what it feel like to me.
I don't think these guys should respond to his ass at all. I ain't gonna hold you. I just don't. I don't. People are gonna hate me for saying this, but I think Kendrick is a dope lyricist. I'm never gonna take anything away from him as a lyricist. I just don't feel that he contributes enough music to be held in the conversation as those two guys. Period.
As far as body of work.
No. You know what I'm saying? And the first album is a very good album. The second album is a Grammy album. And people are gonna say, well, what do you mean it's a Grammy album? It's an album that's made specifically to win the Grammy.
This is what Kendrick.
Yeah. To Pimp a Butterfly. And I think like how your man said it put people to sleep, I feel the same way. I think it put people to sleep. I don't think there's anything on this album that to me that's remotely, it's not a Michael. You know what I'm saying? It's like it ain't that. You know what I'm saying? So, so people be like, oh, that's my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I never was the first time I heard the Pimp a Butterfly, I had a group chat going on with some homies. And I came out and I said that immediately when I heard it. I said after he lost to the guys that damn, I can't, their names, it's escaping me right now, but they have the it was the white guy rapper. I forget the other one. Macklemore. There you go. And I'm sorry to refer to him as that because he's a dope lyricist as well. But he had lost the Grammy to Macklemore, right? And then he came back with Pimp a Butterfly, added more live instrumentation, which tends to be the blueprint to win a Grammy in rap music. You have to have that live instrumentation and you know, different type of funk and all of that type of stuff.
Yeah, because they look at music different.
Right. They want musicality, right? So it's not, so it was, so to me that didn't come across as a hip hop album. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, whereas when you look at a Michael album, it has a good fusion of that, you know, musicality and like real rap and so forth and so on. But anyhow, long story short, I've been said that was a Grammy album. It was, you know, he catered to that. He, you know, and then he drops an album every now and again, which to me, some of them are good, some of them are, you know, Drake putting out music hand over fist. You know, you don't have the catalog to have an opinion to be coming at Drake like this. Pause. And the same thing for Cole. Cole is putting out music, good music, and then these guys going trying to keep taking shots at these guys because they want to, you know, use them for relevancy. Don't let them use you for relevancy, bro. Like that's what I would tell these guys, man. Don't let him troll you for relevancy, right? Because if he didn't say your names, so you know he got a project coming. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the setup. He say y'all names to get the traction for his project.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Come on, man. Y'all supposed to ignore his ass, Jay-Z style. Ignore him, man. It ain't worth it. You know what I'm saying? To me, it's not worth it because anything he does is gonna be like, oh, like you heard what he said? Like, because you know he doesn't drop enough music. You know what I'm saying? So the fans are gonna be like, it's a new Kendrick because he doesn't drop enough music. So everything for everybody's gonna feel amplified because you've been, you know, you're out here so often and he only comes around sometimes.
Art of War.
Yeah. So y'all shouldn't respond to this guy. You should be like, hey man, get out of here with that, man. Because look, everybody who thought Nas couldn't do a battle rap, when he finally did it,
yikes. Yeah.
It was like breaking the earth open.
But then if it's like that, then you won't have this whole hip hop thing, man. Like, is the battle just good for the culture? Is it exciting? Because it's been boring for the last year before it. You know, you got all this ratchet music, you got all of these, you know, these whole type shit and all of this other things. Like, now we got something else to be excited about with some lyrics and some bars and something to make you think. And, you know, they even have YouTube videos dissecting shit. So you can like, oh, he said that. I didn't know that. Oh, you know, like really, like some real thought-provoking conversations are happening. And people are really like listening and looking and, wow, he really said that. He took that word and did this. Like, is it good for hip hop? Like,
I think it is. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think they should call him by name. I think you should cut his ass open. Pause. You know what I mean? But you should cut him down. But you ain't gotta. Never say his name. Let it all be subliminal. Let it burn him slow. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's the competition. You know, he's talking about like make it into a real Da Vinci Code type rhymes. That you're gonna be like, yo, he said this, and Cole and them is real good at doing that. Yeah, he said this about him, and you know, you gotta decode it, and like 2 albums later, you be like, damn, he really was talking about your boy.
Yeah, because even the Benny the Butcher record that he was on, and the Yachty record that he's on, he's saying some things, and like if you're an average listener,
you ain't catching it.
You ain't catching it. And there were just some things that the funny thing is, you would only catch them if you were also paying attention to what the quote unquote opponent was doing it also.
Right.
Like from not just the music, but also the videos.
Yep.
You know, the things that were happening in the videos, because there's a lot of references going back not just to the lyrics, but also to the video things. So like, yo, I think hip hop is exciting for that, man. It makes you pay attention. And I think hip hop has always been that. I think that's always been the best of hip hop, when you're being creative with what you're saying, and then you're capturing it later, like, yo, I did not know that, because it feels almost personable. It feels like, yo, I discovered something in a lyric that nobody else knows about. And then you run to go tell your friends, like, yo, did you realize that the lyrics she said about this was about the video that the opponent was in, that was talking about this? And oh, did you, you know? And I think that's one of the coolest things about hip hop, because it feels like, yo, I discovered that, or I'm the only one who got that, you
But
know?
that's what makes it fun, man. I think the direct,
Yeah,
I don't think that's the way to go. I think what makes it fun is finding the undercover,
the jewels in the, yeah,
jewels in it, and decoding who are they talking about. Like, you know what I mean? Like, to me, that's what makes it more competitive. That's what makes people's rhyme games keep stepping up and up and up and up. Like, how can I really diss this guy and nobody knows that I'm dissing this guy? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm dissing this guy and he knows I'm dissing him. He
right.
knows, but the rest of the world is finding it out.
You gotta be a real fan. You gotta be a real hip hop head to understand these bars and why they hitting, like, how they hitting.
That's just my take on it, man. I don't think they should give this. They don't give this guy fuel, or it could be all WWE.
Yeah, yeah.
This guy could be on conference call and say, "Hey, we're gonna do it this way."
Yeah, you never know, man.
Could all be political theater. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And if it's that, man, more applaud to you. Like, script it out, WWE, man. Like, script it out. Like, if more guys did it that way, I'm gonna be the heel on this one. You're gonna be the guy, the hero on this one. We're gonna change positions every now and again.
No Diddy.
No Diddy.
Oh my God.
Yo, there's a guy that trademarked that shit too. That's crazy.
Yeah, that what's his name?
Real slick, boy. These guys be moving fast, man. Speed of light.
But that's who I heard it for the first time from too. Quelly. Yeah, from Philly. Shout out to him. Yeah.
So it's crazy. So, that's just my take on it. I think the records right now, to me, are mid. I think you and I agree. Mm-hmm. They're mid. The diss records are mid.
I won't lie, man. I felt a little ways about Metro using Prodigy all over the album, man. That kind of,
I just don't. I don't really like to talk about that, because it's because I really love what Metro has become. Right. I don't want to, tear that down. He's become what he's become, doing what he does, and I respect it.
Right.
But Prodigy because we know Prodigy personally.
Yeah.
We know that what he was talking about, it was particularly that music coming from that genre. Right. He was talking against it coming from that region, rather. Like, he wasn't a fan of that region music that way. That's just being honest. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah. I kind of, like, I appreciate, them paying homage. Like, I really appreciate that, because I do feel that someone closer to him with a big, but at the same time, there hasn't been anyone from the East Coast, from that time era, that's really, like, popping right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I appreciate it. I just really wish that there was someone closer that was popping, and it was was able to pay homage the same way that he's doing it right now. You know, but salute to Metro Boomin. He's a phenomenal producer, and his, you know, what he's done for the culture is
yeah, you can't really,
can't
you
take
know,
that away.
can't take that away from him. And that's
I'll always-
regardless.
yeah.
And that's regardless of how I might, you know, feel that the music could be better. You know, like I always say that I feel like guys could elevate. I think guys can do better musically. I think guys should be looking to evolve.
But
you know,
let's be for real though, man. Like, you know, when you start putting out multiple catalogs over and over, and if you're traveling, you're hitting dates, you're doing certain things, and you're doing it all yourself. You know, if you're a genuine producer doing it all yourself, and you're hitting shows for DJs, you're traveling, you're on the road, you're on the run, you're doing all these things, you know, it may be a lot harder to get into a situation where you can just be creative and get into your normal zone. You know, you don't have the luxury and the time that you may have had before, where you could sit in a spot for hours or days and go through some of the life things that kind of make you make these type records. You know, on the other end, you know, when those things happen, you know, I think, you know, we need to utilize some of these resources that's available, because there's a lot of producers that do have some bangers. There's a lot of music out there that is hot. There's a lot of dope samples out there. There's a lot of everything. So, you know, it goes both ways. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. I totally agree with that, man. So shout out to Metro and those guys. Shout out to everybody that's trying to make it happen in this music business. You know, as we start to part on this one, we want everybody to basically make sure that they're remaining safe. I think that's the most important thing. The whole purpose of this platform is to create a safe space for folks to learn the business, to, you know, look out for the pitfalls. And it's not all about, yeah, we talk about contracts and samples and copyrights, but it's also about personal accountability and growth and safety and responsibility, because it also requires that for you to be successful in this business as well. So we want to make sure that we're covering those things. If you like what we're doing, hey, share it with a friend, and, you know, make sure that you're finding us at arkatechbeats.com. Making sure that you're subscribing to our newsletter. Every week we send out a newsletter on the music business. So, you know, we have over 5,000 subscribers. So you definitely want to make sure that you're getting into that. And until next time, folks, make sure you stay safe out there.
Peace.
Peace, people. Be safe.
Arkatech.